Well. Look what we got here. A tower that is infamous for its ridiculously difficult final stretch? Look no further, here it is. The Tower of Bloodthirsty Kenos. Before we get into it, I'll give you a general knowledge of the tower. This tower, Tower of Bloodthirsty Kenos, is a baseline extreme tower made by Cloud Fluid or Avalist. It takes the appearance of a red and unsettling atmosphere of the tower with an eye imprinted on Floor 9's frame. The gameplay usually takes place revolving around a giant pole in the middle, making this a relatively forgiving tower. However, as you may know, this tower is very much known for causing a lot of trouble to players that tries to accomplish this behemoth of a tower. With the tower being mainly focused on jank and unusual jumps, the tower usually ends up being disliked by the community. Another reason for it is that some jumps may even be luck-based, causing the tower's reputation to plummet even more. Although, it is definitely a to-do task for individuals that want to continue on their journey to the absolute insanity EToH holds. Personally, the tower isn't exactly the worst, but it has a lot of downsides to it that made my enjoyment for this tower lower. The final stretch is a culprit to this problem. The final stretch, is known to be one of the most iconic traits this tower has, not in a good way though. This one last section of the tower holds one of the most difficult jumps in the entire tower. One little mistake can lead to your demise. Will you succeed or succumb into the depths of the molten rocks looming below you? Let's find out. The tower starts off with a rough, throwing some rather inconsistent jumps at you. Fortunately, it's literally at the beginning of the tower. The spinner jump to a platform can be a pain to deal with, but it's best to avoid getting close to the wall as much as possible. Try to wrap with a position that you have less chance of hitting your head. You'll need to wrap a little more outwards to avoid getting hit on the head. Look at the head hitter above and try to align with it. After gliding, climb up a little to make sure you aren't too low to climb the other part. Jump when the block on the spinner gets close to the gap that you want to land on. Climb down a little and jump off, do not flick off. Set up a jump by aligning with the platform you'll need to jump to, turn slightly further and jump late. I advise you to not touch the spinner as it will fling you upon contact with your character. Also here, as the sphere above combined with the ice platforms can randomly fling you if you're not careful. You can also do it from the other side, it's up to you. Try to jump on the side of the elevator that doesn't get covered by the wedge above. This truss can be a little annoying to maneuver around, so do it slowly. Remember to flick once before jumping off the truss. This is because if you're too close to the truss, you'll get flat-sided. Aim carefully on this ladder here, this is way tighter than you think. You can just flick straight to the platform without having to land on the other side of the truss. I find that method to be easier. Don't ledge grab like what I did here. What you want to do is that you want to be careful with ledge grabbing this, because ledge grabbing on a slanted platform is more difficult than a normal one. You'll need to treat these jumps as if they're the longest jumps ever. You'll see another example at the very end of the tower. Be careful trying to get up this ladder, as it can sometimes bounce you up unexpectedly. Hug the wall to gain more height. You can also slowly glide to the jump pad, but I find flicking to be more consistent. Go very slow here, as you can get launched off the ice sphere by the platform. You'll want to slowly move around the edge of the sphere to avoid the head hitter. Self-explanatory, jump from the higher place to make this jump possible. You won't fall if you keep hugging the wall here. You'll need to jump from around the third stud to land the sphere perfectly. The first and the second stud of the platform is blocked by the slanted platform. You'll want to aim for the last two studs. Do not walk off from the sloped platform, as it will hinder your walk speed. You'll need to jump further than usual to avoid hitting the block, land the part forwards and not sideways. From this point on, the difficulty of the tower will gradually rise. I hope you're okay with that. For this section, I advise you to not go on the spinner when there is a wall that makes you walk all the way up to the edge, as you'll most likely not have enough time to do so. For me, this whole section is a break, which is basically telling you that the stuff are going to get crazier on the second half. Slowly glide through this ladder, as one little misalignment can send you back down to 4. Glide to the end of the ladder flick, and you'll naturally align with the platform that you're going to jump to. There really isn't a fully consistent way of doing that ladder flick, at least from what I think though. However, the general knowledge about ladder flicks is that you have to be extra careful doing it. Helicopter powers help a lot on this jump. If you don't have it, try not to go through the platform in the middle as you'll most likely get ragdolled. This B-block timing can be a little difficult to time. What I do is jump when the third B-block is about to disappear. You're gonna have to jump from the first stud. This will make you land on the platform easily. Jump light on this low ceiling wrap and try to avoid the slope to not get stopped by it. You do not want to jump when transitioning to the spear because it can fling you. T-pose helps a lot with this jump. If you don't have one, try to touch the button with your arm. Maneuvering under the sphere can be a tedious task to do. However, this is quite consistent with jumping associated too. Your alignment cursor must be facing the third stud counting from the part besides me. Jump late and then wrap to the platform that you're going to land on. Quickly do a head hitter while these falling platforms are falling. Push this wall carefully. There is an ouch brick placed in the wall too. Go slow on this ice section and do not jump. T-pose also helps a lot here, but this is a normal way of doing it. Be careful of the sudden change of slipperiness. Be careful of the ceiling above you. You'll need to jump a little further than usual. You can also flick off from the side of the truss to make it easier. Keep jumping on the truss until you manage to climb up. Remember to not get too close to the truss before moving on touch bounce. For this jump, I would want to completely avoid getting into the gap and jump straight to the platform. You mustn't stand too close to a wall as they can hinder your jump. This is easier as you shift flick, but it's all up to your preference. This jump is a little slanted, so try not to get too close when jumping to it. Jump once here, go too high and then there's no way to go. This jump requires you to less grab and make the jump less inconsistent. This isn't going to make the jump free though, you still have to mind the block above you. That's the first hard jump of the tower for you. Try to aim at the edge of the part, as it is the only part that is climbable. These walkarounds are more difficult than usual due to the inclination. You're gonna need to jump really late here. Now, we're getting to the hardest floors of the tower, in my opinion. You must flick from this slanted truss much later than usual. Align first, move, and jump without shift locking. You don't have to do a wrap here, as this truss is for some reason flippable. You don't want to go too high, the ceiling is a slant. This is easier by performing a walkaround-like strategy. You should be careful doing this section. Falling can send you back at least a floor or more. You'll have to less grab on this part to avoid hitting your head. Do not face the truss when you're trying to maneuver around it. This jump can be a hindrance to most people here due to how strict the timing is. What I do is walk from the edge of the morpher and quickly ramp to the moving platform. Try to jump from the normal part rather than the spear itself. Be careful trying to get under this wedge, as it can sometimes push you off. It is nearly impossible to gain normal momentum, so you'll have to jump as late as possible. If you stand close to the wall, you'll have no problem with hitting your head. Get to around the corner of the truss, then perform a truss bounce jump. This jump is very tricky. What you're going to do is ledge grab to avoid flat siding, turn slightly, then jump late. Before doing this jump, test that you can jump or not. If yes, then try to jump to the next platform. Do the same strategy as I did earlier. Ledge grab to cancel flat siding, then jump late. Jump from where I'm standing on. You'll usually land on the platform without any problems. Don't stand too close to the center. You'll most likely get ragdolled. One last jump standing between you and the final stretch. T-pose helps a lot with this. The last hindrance of the tower. Are you ready? This exposition has a really tricky timing. You have to jump and move backwards a little so you don't miss the jump. Don't stand too close to the wall, you will hit your head. Jump from the second block to the platform. Don't forget to jump late to avoid hitting your head too. Keep in mind that you do not want to ledge grab on the edge of the cylinder. This will cause you to fall off the ledge. I have done this once and I've learned from my mistakes. Make sure that you are standing on the cylinder and not the sphere. These ledge grab jumps are the most difficult jumps in the final stretch and you must be really careful. Climb down slightly, the ceiling is quite low. Try to use the wall as an advantage in ledge grabbing. Flick your screen moderately and you'll naturally ledge grab on the platform. Once you successfully ledge grabbed, climb down at least 1 or 2 times and aim for the truss. While on this truss, flick slowly to the corner of the truss, climb up then jump to the platform. This takeout is way more difficult than you think. Try to grab as tightly as possible. You can either ledge grab on this and slowly move across it, or do what I did here. Be very careful of the sphere on top of you. Now, we're at the most awkward section of the final stretch. Remember that speed section of floor 3? Well, this is the section I mentioned. This jump, you must not land too far off the edge because it's an ice platform, making it really easy to slip off. This jump seems easy, but it is something you don't want to overlook. Climb down for at least 3 or 4 times, then turn your character to the truss below. If you landed it, try to flick your character until there's a space to climb up. Once you're done with that, slowly glide around the truss, then perform a really far truss flick. And you'll basically be in the tower. If you're low on health, please heal. These triple spikes are an ouch brick and are a normal kill brick. And that sums up for Tower Bloodthirsty Kenos. This tower is definitely not the best tower I've played, but not the worst so far. With 6 fails in the final stretch, yeah, I didn't have a good time with the tower. However, I guess it also benefits me since I've not gotten much better at jank on mobile. Bad tower, good skill boost, especially jank. I'll be back with a new completion soon.